In this short video we're going to have a quick look at how we can use text alignment to center all of the elements in the text on our page, just to change the overall layout of what we've got at the moment. We're also going to look at how you can group CSS rules, and that can save time and make your code more efficient. This is an example here of how you could apply the same rule to both the H1 and the H2 tags. So if we have a look at the website we have at the moment, we've got a lot of white space on the right hand side, and it's kind of unbalanced with the amount of margin we have on the left. So one way to solve that would be to align everything in the center. Now, to get the text up here into the center isn't too hard, and the same for the footer down there, but what we want to do is move everything here into the center without affecting how this text is aligned. Earlier we put this whole part from this paragraph here down to the bottom of the video into a section tag, and so what we're going to do is essentially use that section as a container. So if you imagine a big sort of border around this whole part here, this section, and we can treat that as one object, and we can move that across to the middle by adjusting the margins on the left and the right. So back in our HTML, this is the section tag I was talking about. Everything we have is inside that section, and we can put margins on the left and right to center it. There's a special type of rule we can use to do that. So we have our section tag already in here. I'm just going to change this from margin left to margin 0 auto. Now if you remember, when we have just two numbers here for a margin rule, this first one refers to the top and the bottom, and the second one refers to the left and the right. So what this should do when we have margin 0 and auto is center that whole section of our website. But you can see here that it's all gone up against the left hand side, and that's because we actually haven't given it a width yet. So if I go down here and I give it a width and I put it to 754 pixels, which is the same as the width of the images and the video, and now I look back at my live preview, you can see we have this section that is perfectly centered within our page, but the individual elements haven't been centered yet. So this hasn't been centered, and this hasn't been affected either. We also haven't centered the header or the footer. So to center the header and the footer and this section in here, we're going to use the text align property, and we're actually going to group tags together so we can affect multiple different HTML elements at the same time. So to do that, if we put in our normal rule, so this is H1 for our top heading, and we separate all of the different tags that we want to group using the comma. So note this is different to what we did down here when we had this UL tag nested in the nav tag. This one's only looking for any unordered list items that are in the nav section, whereas this, when you have H1 and then let's say H2 for example, is looking for all of the H1 tags and all of the H2 tags. So if I just put in the property that we're going to use, text align center, you can see that it's centered this H1 heading up the top, and this is an H2 heading that's centered down there. We'll also center the text in the footer. So if we go down to this part here, another comma, and put footer in there, this part has been centered. Our list items up here haven't been centered, so we can just add in another element, and we could change the UL, and that would center these, but notice it also centers these as well. You may or may not want that. I'm actually going to have these left aligned, so just as we did down here, we're going to have nav space UL. So we can combine these concepts of nested elements and grouping elements. So we have a lot of grouped elements here where we're aligning the text to the center, and one of them just happens to be only applying to the unordered list items that are part of the nav, which is this section up the top. So now we have everything on our page center aligned. We have our H1, our nav elements, we have our justified text, and this is on the left as I wanted. You have your images in the middle and the text as well. So that's an alternative type of layout that you can do. It doesn't take too much to change it from the left align to the center, and I think it gives us a bit more balance on the page. So to recap what we looked at in this video, there's two different ways of centering objects, and it depends on the type of object that you're trying to center. If it's just text, you can use the text align center property. If it's a whole block, like the section tag, you can use margin 0 auto, and auto refers to the left and right margins. If you set them to auto, it will set them to the same. So even if you resize your window, your object will stay in the middle of your window. So two different ways of centering objects on your website.